Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really zeroing in on something critical but often behind the scenes, cloud storage.
Right. Specifically in finance and healthcare.
Exactly. So whether you're maybe building your career, figuring out a tech strategy, or honestly just curious how these huge sectors handle all that data, this is for you.
Yeah, and it's really not just about, storing files anymore, is it?
Not at all. We're talking secure, compliant, and genuinely innovative data management. Thinking about platforms like Amazon S3, Azure's ADLS, Google Cloud Storage, those kinds of tools.
And these industries, finance and healthcare, they're under enormous pressure. They need to innovate, but they also have some of the strictest data laws anywhere. It's a tough balance.
It really is.
Absolutely. And I think the main point we should probably get across today is that cloud storage, it offers so much more than just, archiving data for these fields.
Okay.
It's actually reshaping how they operate, how they innovate, all while staying within those really tight regulatory lines.
Okay, so let's dig into that. Where does that real power, that extra value, come from? The cost is always a big one, I imagine.
Well, definitely. It's a huge factor. Traditionally, these places bought massive amounts of physical hardware, big upfront costs.
Right, big iron.
Exactly. And often, a lot of it just sat there underutilized. Cloud storage flips that completely. It's scalable. It's pay as you go.
Ah, the utility model.
Precisely. You only pay for the storage, the compute that you actually use, like your electricity bill, but for data.
So no more guessing capacity years in advance. You just sort of tap into what you need.
Yeah.
What happens then when things go crazy, like tax season hits finance, or maybe there's a sudden public health event for healthcare?
Well, that's where the agility, the flexibility of the cloud really proves its worth. It allows for basically real-time scaling.
Instantly.
Pretty much. If a hospital suddenly gets a huge influx of patient data, their storage can just expand automatically. No waiting for procurement, no installing new racks. And it's the same for a financial firm during, say, a market surge. Peak trading periods. The capacity is just there. No hardware bottlenecks.
Got it. So it saves money and handles those unpredictable spikes.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But these are heavily regulated industries.
Yeah.
Security, compliance.
Yeah.
That has to be like paramount.
Absolutely non-negotiable. It's table stakes. And the major cloud providers, they know this. They build their platforms with these strict requirements baked in from the start.
So they offer specific features for this.
Definitely. They have robust support for regulations like IPI, crucial for healthcare data, and SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is key for financial reporting, plus GDPR for privacy.
And how does that work in practice? What tools do they provide?
Well, things like really granular identity and access management, IAM. That means you control exactly who sees what data, what they can do with it, down to a very fine level.
Okay.
Plus, strong encryption, both for data sitting there at rest and when it's moving in transit. And very importantly, detailed audit logs. Everything is tracked. Who accessed what, when, what changes were made.
That level of tracking and control sounds vital, essential, really.
It is.
But okay, they've stored it securely, compliantly. How do they actually use this data for something? Well, more than just ticking regulatory boxes.
Now that's where the real transformation kicks in. It's about accessibility. Cloud storage helps break down those old data silos.
Right, where data was stuck in different departments, different systems.
Exactly. Now you can bring it together centrally and actually use it for, powerful applications. Think machine learning.
Okay, like what?
Like training models to spot fraudulent financial transactions almost instantly, or building dashboards that give doctors predictive insights based on patient health trends across a population.
So real-world applications driving better outcomes or catching problems faster.
Precisely. I know one financial institution, for example, they use their cloud data lake, all that aggregated data, to build an anomaly detection model. Cut fraudulent transactions by, I think it was 15% in just one quarter.
15%, that's significant.
Huge impact.
So it's really about unlocking the value hidden in the data, not just keeping it safe.
That's the goal.
But doing that, using machine learning, building those dashboards, that sounds like it needs a pretty specific skill set, doesn't it? It's not just standard IT anymore.
You're absolutely right. It isn't. The benefits we're talking about, they're only realized if you have skilled professionals who know how to manage these specific cloud environments within these industries.
Okay, so what are those key skills? What should people be focusing on?
Well, first and foremost, a really deep understanding of security and compliance. You need fluency in IMM, encryption methods, how to manage and interpret those audit logs effectively.
Makes sense.
And implementing things like worm policies. Write once. Read many for data that can't be altered. For healthcare, that means really knowing IP inside and out. In finance, you need expertise in SOX, FINRA rules, PCI DSS for payment cards. It's specific.
Okay, security and compliance mastery.
Okay.
What else?
Cost management is crucial too, optimizing that cloud spend. That involves understanding data tiering, moving less access data to cheaper storage, automatically using lifecycle policies, and just generally getting a handle on the billing tools the providers offer.
Right, avoiding bill shock.
Exactly. Then there's integration and performance. Knowing how to partition data efficiently for querying, maybe using caching for faster access, and critically, connecting that cloud storage smoothly to analytics platforms, think BigQuery, Redshift, Azure Synapse, to actually process the data and get insights.
So making it all work together seamlessly.
Yes. And finally, I'd say industry-specific knowledge is a massive advantage.
Domain expertise.
Right. In healthcare, understanding data standards like HL7 or the newer FHIR standard for exchanging health information. In finance, knowing the regulatory expectations around different types of transaction data, market data, etc.
Wow, okay. That is a very specific kind of blended profile. Technical cloud skills, deep security knowledge, cost management, and that domain expertise. Finding people like that must be tough for business leaders.
It really is. It's a significant challenge. Professionals who bridge that gap, deep cloud tech and nuanced understanding of finance or healthcare regulations, they're not easy to find.
So what are companies doing?
Well, that's why you see a growing reliance on specialized talent partners, organizations that really get both sides, the cloud tech and the specific compliance and operational needs of these sectors. They help connect businesses with those hard-to-find experts.
Right. So wrapping this up then, it feels like the takeaway is, well, the future, certainly for finance and healthcare, really depends on using cloud storage strategically. Intelligently.
Precisely. It's moved far beyond just storage. It's a core enabler.
Yeah.
And maybe a final thought for you listening. As this data just keeps growing exponentially in these absolutely critical industries, what do you see as the biggest hurdles ahead for managing it effectively, responsibly in the cloud?
Good question.
And maybe what skills that we haven't even touched on today will become absolutely essential just a few years down the line, because it's not just about the technology, is it? It's about the expertise to use it wisely.